Back. The summer season is all about fun in the sun, but enjoying the great outdoors and all it has to offer can come with some risks. So here to show us ways to prevent some common summer sicknesses is Dr. Shilpi Agarwal. Please tell me I said your name right.
You did. That was really
okay.
Good.
Yes, board-certified physician in family medicine. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
All right. All these things that we don't think about that can happen in the summer, and we were just talking a little bit about it. Foodborne illnesses are a big thing. Everybody's at a cookout. Things tend to sit out too long. So what do we need to know moving forward to stay safe and not get sick?
Definitely. Foodborne illnesses really peak at this time in the year because we are, as you said, going out, having more cookouts, just enjoying time outside. Really, 1 in 6 Americans get sick from a foodborne illness every year. So that's a lot of people, you know, and 3,000 people will die every year of a foodborne illness. So it is a problem for us.
Okay.
The main 2 ways that I really recommend people protect themselves is to not cross-contaminate and then also to do a lot of hand washing. So cross-contamination really means when you have raw foods like eggs or meat, you want to store those separately. So wrap them with a plastic wrap and then also secondarily put them into another bag. Keep that separate from your packaged or already prepared foods. That's going to avoid any contamination. You also want to remember that bacteria can quickly grow. So if something's been sitting out for 2 hours, discard it afterwards.
No matter what. Ask if there was like a rule of thumb as far as how long we can leave the food out in the summertime, picnics, parties, that type of thing.
2 hours usually is the maximum, and hopefully by then it's such good food that you've already eaten
Right.
it.
Just don't wait to eat, that's all.
Yeah. The other important thing that I want to stress that people might forget sometimes is, especially with hamburgers, they're cooking them on the grill, they're raw, but then that same person is also putting it on the bun and putting on lettuce. So that's another way that it can really do a lot of cross-contamination without meaning to. So make sure you're keeping those meats and that person separate than the people who are preparing the actual burger. And then hand washing, warm soap and water, encourage your little ones to wash before and after a meal.
Okay. Also, poison ivy and poison oak. Now, we hear about, you know, poison ivy, we know what to look for, but poison oak we may not know as much about. But either way, if you get it, what's the best relief from it?
Yeah, similarly, we've all probably had a bout with poison ivy. We used to go out a lot as young children. And
or
if you get
middle-aged ladies.
Yeah.
I just had it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it is very prevalent. In fact, anyone who comes across it, about 80% of people are going to get a rash. So it is super common. But the good news is that it's not very dangerous. It's self-limited. If you do get it, you want to use good old calamine lotion because that's going to dry out the poison ivy. And then a cooling gel, something with aloe, will also help you to stop itching. And also remember that poison ivy can really be found anywhere, not just your typical wooded areas, your backyards. At the beach, which is pretty surprising.
What?
It can be found in public places. Anywhere where there's a little patch, you can get some poison ivy. So be very careful.
As you know.
Leaves
Or-
of 3, let them be.
Or your
Very
dog
good.
can
Yes,
pick it
thank
up
you very
too,
much.
because we've dealt with that, you know, as well.
Oh, that would not be
And
fun.
then you start playing with the dog, and next thing you know, yep, you got a little itch going on
Oh,
yourself.
wow. I don't know how I've avoided it all these years.
Yeah.
I have no
I had-
idea.
Don't jinx yourself.
I know, right?
Now you know what to put on top.
And we were working together that day. This was a funny story. And then somebody said, well, that looks like poison ivy. And all of a sudden, Sarah's like,
I'll talk to you from afar.
yes, and she did not get it. But it is highly contagious, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the good
And a
news is you
nuisance.
can't spread it really from person to person that way, but if, unless the oil
Oh.
is still on you. So
Oh, well.
just having the rash, you're not likely to get exposed. But
Unless she itches it and gets
Right.
the
Yeah.
liquid on
Scratch
it.
Because I didn't know what it was at
Itch,
that
itch,
time.
itch.
Right.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Brent. All right.
Now you have some
Anybody
good
comes at you
itch
that way, avoid it.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about, obviously everybody's in the water this time of year, swimming, that type of thing. What are some things we need to know before getting in the water?
Yeah. Swimming, pool safety, drowning, all very important. We do just spend so much more time around water during the summertime. So it's very important. People really don't understand how common drowning is, and so we should really focus on that. And it turns out that it's one of the top leading causes of unintentional deaths still in our country. So we need to focus on reducing those numbers. The most important thing goes without saying, don't leave young children unattended around water. And then also, one thing I want to stress is that we sometimes will leave older children who are good swimmers, more experienced, to watch a younger one, but really they may not be ready for that responsibility, or they're just not strong enough to pull them out of the water and help them. So,
And the part that's scary is how silent it is. And I think that, you know, we've seen things like this. The kid just sort of sinks to the bottom, and before you realize they're not above water, it's just too late. It's very
that's exactly
sad.
right.
Yeah.
And it's also very hard because sometimes you can see them struggling. It's a matter of seconds, and you just can't get there. So leaving that on to an older kid, no matter how good of a swimmer they are, really isn't your best option. Always have an adult that's around that can swim well and be there in case they need you.
Also, real quick, it's the water. They can also make us sick that we're in, this time of year. So what are some things, like public swimming pools or just even maybe out in the ocean? What are the things you need to be
And
mindful
if we could
of?
not say feces during this part, it would be great.
Thanks for just putting
Okay,
it
I
out
just
there.
said it. I just
She might
said
say
it.
the
Now
G
it's over.
word.
We're done with it.
Well, yeah, recreational water illnesses are very common, and it happens because of the word that you mentioned
Okay.
is contaminated in the pools. Chlorine
Right.
doesn't kill all of our bacteria, so
Okay.
we really need to make sure to rinse off before we get into the water and afterwards so that we're protecting ourselves and those around us. That's the best way. Diarrhea is such a common symptom that I see after a
She said
visit
the
to the
D word.
pool.
But not the F word.
I know.
Right.
Right.
I spared you on that one.
I did the,
You
I
had
did
to
the
say
nasty
it.
business there. Right, right.
So always rinse off. Remember that chlorine really doesn't protect you from everything. Also stay very hydrated because you might come down with a bout of the D
And
word.
it would be the, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Doc, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. All
Some good reminders.
Yes.
Sometimes we forget about some of these things.
Just having fun in the sun, and
Yeah.
next thing you're sick. So thank
Right.
you.
Still enjoy your summer, but
Right.
safely.
All right.
That's the
Thank
key.
you.